Hi, everybody. We're group one. We'll be covering our chapter six question. My name is Drew.
I'm Laura.
I'm Caitlin.
So our chapter six question is, as the principal of a school, you assign staff members to supervise both students arriving at the school in the morning and leaving school in the afternoon. We need to discuss when students become your responsibility in the morning and when does your responsibility end after school. And we shouldn't have forgotten to address after school activities. Finally, creatively discuss how you as a principal will ensure proper supervision using assigned staff members. Since two of us are in the high school realm, I'm going to start off by talking about high school. As a high school principal, student safety is both a legal obligation and moral commitment. Supervision before, during, and after the school day must be clearly defined, consistently implemented, and effectively monitored. Below is a structured overview of when responsibility begins and ends, how after school activities are handled, and how I ensure proper supervision through staff coordination. So in the morning, at the start of the officially designated supervision period, so when kids get to school, um, so that when they step into the building, they essentially become our responsibility. Not when they step on a campus, but when they come into the building. Um, I would say give us a 30-minute time frame before the instructional day starts. So before your first period, that's when supervision begins. This is when assigned staff members are physically present at designated supervision posts, and when school doors are open for student entry. If students arrive before the official window opens, families are clearly informed that supervision is not yet provided unless they're enrolled in a structured before school program, where there are certified staff members who are able to take on that morning before school program. In the afternoon, that responsibility still continues, making sure dismissal procedures are being followed until students safely board the buses or enter in their vehicle that is taking them home, or their approved guardian is there to pick them up. Um, this is um, this is done until about 30 minutes after the last bell when students are dismissed.
Okay, and I'm in the elementary building, so it kind of goes a little differently. Our maintenance workers are the first ones there to open up the school. We have a before school program that offers breakfast. So that supervision is done through the morning program and the lunch staff. And then teachers are expected to arrive a half hour before students arrive. And then they all have duties that are 15 minutes before our actual class times begin. So students, if they're not eating breakfast, they cannot be on campus in the school building until 15 minutes before the first bell. And then after school, we also have an after school program that kids can go to that are the leaders are in charge of the kids till about 6 o'clock that night. And then teachers have after school duties, the bus duty, the hallway duty, crosswalk, things like that. And then teachers need to stay then through their contract time, which is almost 20 minutes after the last bell rings. The principals set the duty schedule at the beginning of the school year to making sure that it is equal based on teacher contracts, making sure that everybody has the same amount of duties that is needed and that all jobs and areas are covered. The schedule stays for the entire school year to make it fair to everybody and just to make sure the system works the same every day and nothing is missed.
Okay, so in terms of extracurricular activities, obviously this is a little out of the norm from traditional district offerings in terms of school because this is completely voluntary by students. They do not have to participate in extracurricular activities. However, because schools usually push them and encourage them so heavily, there is an expectation for supervision. By employees, whether that's teachers, staff, administrators. It is important, again, to take into consideration most extracurricular activities are not offered until middle school, some schools even high school. And because of that, you do take into standard of care. You're not going to need to be quite as hands-on as you would be if, for some reason, an extracurricular activity was being offered to a kindergartner. But however, there is an extremely high importance on group leader supervision, coaches, specifically coaches who, are trained in demonstrating proper techniques so that participate athletes in these curricular activities aren't injuring themselves. Teachers, trainers, athletic directors, trainers and athletic directors, trainers specifically. For me personally, I've never had a trainer in high school, so if you do have one, it's a major luxury. So they obviously have their own set of expectations because extracurriculars are their primary job. And then athletic directors, usually if a trainer is not available, it's usually the athletic director who's expected to be there during extracurricular time to assist in case any medical emergency would occur. As a principal, I would ensure that supervision through structured planning, clear expectations, strategic staffing, and layered monitoring and a culture that prioritizes student safety above all else. Because supervision is not about standing in one spot, it's about being intentional, present where students need us most. So again, if you're instructing an extracurricular activity, I would hope you have a slight passion for whatever extracurricular activity you are working with as someone who has coached, has a strong desire to continue coaching. If you know what you're doing and have a passion for it, it's going to eliminate a lot of liability issues because you probably know proper techniques, and you're going to be paying attention. Lastly, again, for extracurricular activities, so students are going to stay after that final bell. So again, that's where, going back to our first few high school slides, your expectation as a supervisor for them goes beyond that bell ringing and that set time after that bell ringing, because obviously kids are usually staying there for 2, sometimes 3 hours after the school day ends. They must be enrolled. Students have to be signed up for whatever extracurricular they are working in. Most of the time, families are required to provide some form of insurance, sign consent forms. There's all kinds of paperwork that goes into it, again, to help school districts in regard to liability if an accident were to happen. Again, you still have to be under direct supervision of a staff member for school sanctioned activities. So we have a couple different models. The layered supervision model, we would use 3 levels of coverage: primary supervision, so that in this case, let's give an example of basketball, the coach; floating supervision, let's say that's our athletic director; and then emergency backup coverage, let's say there's a principal who stays in the office afterwards, so you can just have some additional hands if, heaven forbid, an emergency would occur. And then communication systems, 2-way radios for key staff, emergency call protocols, real-time updating during dismissal, and instant reporting documentations. So just all that paperwork that goes into it.